Las Vegas has always been a city loaded with everything from early morning gambling to late night clubbing and everything in between. It's a place where you can go all out and spend tens of thousands of dollars or more if you have it, or tighten up the purse strings and explore the area on a budget. But if you haven't been recently, things may be a little different than they were the last time you visited. Today, let's discuss 5 things I don't like about Las Vegas right now as of August 2021. I stayed at MGM's Excalibur from Sunday, August 8th to Thursday, August 12th, and I had some strong opinions about my stay there. Check out the review I did in the card above or linked in the description below, or visit our website, travelingwithtravis.com, for the extended review, especially if you're considering staying at Excalibur anytime soon. Anyway, I had a lot of fun on that trip, as I usually do in Vegas, but I noticed right away that things were quite different from my last trip in late 2019. For my first dislike, let's talk about something that isn't so much Vegas, but more the process of getting there. Flying right now is kind of a mess. My Vegas flight got changed twice from the time I booked it 3 weeks before my trip to my actual departure date. Airlines are scrambling right now to keep up with shifting demands, industry-wide changes and shortages, and unruly passengers. Speaking of, let's talk about unruly passengers. I don't want to get into the politics of mask mandates and all that, but there is a noticeable difference in people's moods and attitudes, both from a passenger and crew standpoint. I've flown several times since the pandemic hit, and it seems to be getting increasingly worse, to the point where, at times, I haven't felt totally safe. I've seen passengers go off on gate agents over the fact that their mask didn't meet FAA requirements, even though they were offered a free replacement. I've seen employees talk to people with a lack of tact and respect during delays, individual mishaps, and overall confusion. People need to realize that the employees don't make the rules, but are expected to enforce them. And employees need to realize that what's crystal clear to them might be as clear as mud to us. We all just need to be more patient with each other during one of the most difficult times to travel in my entire adult life. For my next dislike, let's talk about the fact that everything closes early. Now, this only applies to my most recent trip during the week. When some of my friends were there on the weekend in July, they said things were a little bit more normal. But during the week, some restaurants were shut down by 9 p.m., and almost everything was closed by 10. Bars and such were open until at least midnight, but twice I found myself looking for food with every single food establishment I approached completely dark. In the before times, I used to prefer weekdays because you could get more or less the same Vegas experience with less crowds, but with everything closed so early right now, the weekend is the only time to go if you're a night owl like me. For my third dislike, let's talk about the people. This may be connected to my observation of the passengers and staff I mentioned earlier, but it just seems to me that the quality of people and travel destinations these days is severely lacking. People are rowdy, rude, impatient, and downright confrontational right now. Don't get me wrong, Vegas is known for rowdiness, but there's a difference between party animals who drink too much and people who just plain mistreat each other. I saw at least once per day, more than once on more than one occasion, people being terrible for no apparent reason. In the buffet line, a lady had a full-on meltdown because there were 3 parties in front of her to be seated. Yes, 3. She yelled like a kid throwing a fit about how she's never had to wait before and that she would never give Vegas her business again. I hope she follows through on that last part. I also saw a man get removed from a show I went to because he refused to put on his mask after being told to do so multiple times. Speaking of masks, let's talk about my 4th dislike, wearing a face covering. Now, I know this may seem to contradict my previous statements about people versus mask mandates and the like, but just because I think people should follow the rules doesn't mean I particularly like them. Wearing a mask when it's 110 degrees outside is far from fun. Now, luckily you don't have to wear a mask outside, but I was expected to wear it inside every hotel and casino, inside the Uber, and during the 2 shows I went to see, the shortest of which was over 2 hours long. It's a mild inconvenience, but it adds up, and I, for one, am looking forward to the day when things are safe enough for us to be done with masks for good. And perhaps that's something that maybe the vast majority of us can agree on. And for my last dislike, let's talk about prices. In recent years, Las Vegas has been far from cheap. As they build bigger, better, and more upscale hotels and experiences, there's a trickle-down effect in the pricing we see in and around the Strip. That said, when I was there in 2019, there were tons of free and inexpensive entertainment options and several places to get cheap food and drinks. A lot of those places still exist, but be aware that not everything has opened back up yet, and when they do, I expect we'll see significant price increases like we've seen elsewhere. There were also a lot less happy hours and deals than I was used to. I get it, places are recovering from the shutdown and all that, but it's a lot more difficult to be a budget vacationer right now. Las Vegas is still a place I recommend visiting, especially if you haven't gotten out of the house since the pre-pandemic era. It's a quick and easy destination for most people that doesn't require a lot of advanced planning. Just know going in that things will likely be different than they were the last time you were there. Also, if it's your first time visiting Sin City, be aware that you may want to give Las Vegas a couple of visits before developing your full and final opinion of it.